Hello, Jim. Can you introduce yourself and share your experience with international business?
Sure. Where are you?
I'm in Japan.
We're in Japan.
I'm in Fukuoka, the southern part of Japan.
And when we first met, where were you?
I was in California, still in Northern California,
Oh, okay, cool. And what school were you going to when I met you?
CSU Long Beach.
There you go. Gee, that would be kind of like an international thing, now, wouldn't it? Okay. Well, I've been an entrepreneur and entrepreneur most of my career. An entrepreneur is where a company hires you to develop new products and new businesses, which is what I did for a whole bunch of years. Started out in the shipping business. I'm a merchant mariner. I used to pilot ships around, big container ships. Wanted to be a naval architect, interesting enough, when I got out of school. Then I came ashore, automated marine terminals, did a lot of terminal work. Went to work for Flying Tigers, which is now part of FedEx, the heavy haul part of FedEx. Developed products there, and that's really where I get into the entrepreneur business, and then created a whole bunch of businesses since then. Our latest endeavor is we just acquired the Princeville Wine Shop in Princeville, Hawaii, which we're going to rename Princeville Wine and Liquor. It's the only one on the island, and that's one of our new ventures. What else can I share with you, Catherine?
Do you have any advice for your students who are interested in starting a small business?
Sure. Um, it doesn't take that long to teach you how to start and sustain a business. The hard part is getting you psychologically resilient enough to deal with all the negativity around you. People around you saying it's not going to work, you never make it work, blah, blah, blah. That's one. The second thing is not everything goes perfectly smoothly. So you start out with a business plan. Let's just talk about the wine and liquor store, right? So originally going to acquire it from the guy, but then we said, well, we better do an asset sale purchase. We have to get our own new liquor license. Okay, so we had to go through that process, and there's glitches with that. And because we did an asset sale, now we have to get a new lease with the landlord. Whereas the lease that was with the business we just bought was pretty advantageous. There's a risk now that may be higher. Don't know. Just going through the process. There's going to be all kinds of things that you don't prepare for. You just can't get frustrated. You just keep moving forward. Now, the underlying numbers seem to be pretty good for us, right? So, right in the middle of all of this, where we sell mostly foreign wines in the wine and liquor store in Princeville, all these tariffs go up. And you got to be prepared to handle all of that and do whatever. So the main issue is just be psychologically resilient. You're going to have challenges. Don't get discouraged. Just keep moving along. The number one factor in successful entrepreneurship is persistence.
And do you have an example when you were starting a small business and you encountered a problem? How did you overcome it?
Years ago, I get a call from my father, who's Italian. And when you're a son of an Italian father, you take that phone call. And he said, our cousin had bought a music store that sells music equipment in Delaware, and it was struggling. Fix it. Okay. So I don't know anything about guitars or amps or drums or any of that stuff, but my father said fix it. So now I got to go learn that particular business. But I went into it not biased one way or the other. I just need to figure out how to make it work. And so the first thing that we had to identify is it was in Delaware, right across from New Jersey. And in New Jersey was a huge retailer called Guitar Center. And so I go look at Guitar Center. What are they doing? How do we compete with Guitar Center? Well, yeah, maybe we do lessons. I walk into the store and I'm noticing all this equipment up there that is all manufactured in the US and PV amplifiers. Well, back then, this was when MTV and it was just starting. Well, all of the bands that were on MTV, the kids were seeing were Marshall amps. And so I now have to go to my cousin and saying, hey, We only gonna sell PPMs. Well, you're going to go out of business, right?
Mm.
Because if you don't start bringing in, the stuff that kids want to buy. And most of the guitars they had were the wrong colors. And so that's kind of how now the difficult part was convincing my cousin that his way of seeing things was how the consumer saw it. And that took some work. That was a challenge.
Awesome. Great example. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.